Also, very warm welcome from my side. It's a great pleasure to have you all here, and thank you for your interest in Heidelberg. I think we have some real good news. About a year ago, we presented a new strategy, Heidelberg Goes Digital, and I think Heidelberg is in a position to show as one of the great examples where the machinery and industrial sector can go by using the digital transformation in order to grow future business, to come from a transactional business to a recurring business with the use of data. And Heidelberg, as I told some of you many times, has a unique position in that area where we have a very strong customer relation on the one hand, where we have data, and we have a huge life cycle business already today, which can be grown because the market is even greater. There are basically three things flying around in this industry: smart print shop, digital packaging, subscription. You heard all of that. And today, please look it up. There's a very nice article in the Handelsblatt describing the future of Heidelberg already. So by coincidence, it happens also to be printed and published today. But it shows exactly what we will talk about. My colleagues will talk about in detail. I only will give a brief overview. We, as you might remember, about a year ago, presented the Heidelberg Future Strategy with 3 columns of our strategy house, if you will. The one important column is the technological leadership, the innovation. I think in the machinery industry, despite what business model you look at, innovation is and must be the driver, and Heidelberg has innovation in its DNA. Heidelberg has been for many, many years the technological leader, is the innovator in the industry, in the technology, and that's also the case today, also driving the digital transformation, not only of Heidelberg, but of the whole media printing industry. The second part, and that's the big growth driver for Heidelberg, we'll elaborate in detail, is the digital transformation, creating new business models with the means of data. So this is true Industry 4.0. We are all talking Industry 4.0 for many, many years, but you really look into what most companies in the machinery industry are doing is not Industry 4.0, it's automation. With means of data, we got our business more flexible, more transparent, maybe more efficient, but we're still in the old business model in the industry. And what Heidelberg has started is really Industry 4.0, a business which wouldn't be possible without the data, a new business model, and that's the true digital transformation with significant growth potential. And last not least, because all these great ideas won't work if a company is not agile, not dynamic, not lean, that's operational excellence. If you will, return to operational excellence. Also, this is the DNA of Heidelberg. Heidelberg, you know, as I looked at Heidelberg the last 40 years, always, maybe except the last 10 years, was the example for operational excellence. And we put together also here in our strategy a clear plan how to return to operational excellence, and we're well underway. What I can say, this strategy is well implemented in the meantime. The first important milestones are achieved, and we will tap the growing output of the industry of our customers. Because when I joined Heidelberg a year and a half ago, many people told me, oh, what you're doing going to Heidelberg, print and paper is dead. That's not true. Print and paper is not dead. As you see, it's growing significantly. And Heidelberg, that's our strategy, will participate in the output, in the growth of what our customers are doing. And you see, 2016, more than 400 billion is the print production volume. 2019, already 417 billion, and growing also towards the future. So it is a growing business. What, of course, is the challenge for Heidelberg and the whole industry? From the craftsman type business shop, small, it is growing into into an industrial segment and industrial structures. But that's, of course, also our job to support that, to basically help our customers to do the transition from a craftsman type shop, print shop, to industrial business for the print media industry. And the market for us is significant. The one which is linked directly to it is consumables. And Heidelberg already, as you know, has a good consumable business, 450 million, 120 of them as e-commerce business already, but there is more to come. This is only 5%, and with the digital transformation, with the data my colleagues will elaborate in detail about, we will tap a big part of those 8 billion market. And the good thing, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very stable business. It's different than machinery. Machinery, we all know, if there are some clouds on the sky, our customers stop investing. But they don't stop printing. They continue printing. And then it needs a few good days, weeks, months, sometimes years, until they invest again. But they still continue to print. And that's why it makes a lot of sense to tap this consumable market. Now, as a dealer, as Heidelberg is today in that business, it's quite difficult because as our customers grow big, the problem is they go also direct to the factory. They don't need a dealer. And that's why we will do it different with the means of our data as we have. We create a win-win situation. This is the subscription model we can offer, and we'll explain in the meantime. But we shouldn't forget our core business, because it's still a very good business. Sheet fed offset is the core business of Heidelberg that has made Heidelberg the company it is, the market leader, the technology leader in the industry. It's still a 2.4 billion euro market, and Heidelberg owns a significant share of that, more than 40%. And there are only few German, or actually I don't know any German machinery company or any machinery company in the world who has, as a machinery company, more than 20% market share, even in Japan, where one of our main competitors is located. That shows the technological strength of Heidelberg and is, of course, also the basis for our future subscription business. And then there's a third important part, digital printing, where Heidelberg today is small but has started, re-entered this business with, I think, a very smart approach with digital industrial packaging and label printing. So printing products aiming directly to the growing part, the fastest growing part of the print media industry for packaging and label. And all that together is basically driven by innovation of better, more productive technologies, but also by digital means, by using modern processes, increasing the productivity of our customers for sheet fed offset, but also for our new digital printing industry. And this is basically the core of Heidelberg's future strategy. Many things are implemented. The first steps we've done with subscription, and we create great interest. Smart print shop established. We are driving the productivity of our customers. Digital packaging printing already established. The first products going to the customers. In many areas, Heidelberg is the first mover, revolution the printing industry also there. And that's the growth path. That's the near future, if you will. 200 million at least additional sales in digital printing. At least 250 million in digital business models, subscription, driving the consumable business. Digital platforms is even outside of the printing industry, using Heidelberg's outstanding digital capabilities. And this will drive profitability. 50 million additional profitability will come out of the volume, and 50 million at least out of return to operational excellence. So the group target 5 years from now, a little less than 5 years from now, 3 billion in sales, EBITDA between 250 and 300 million, and a net profit of at least 100 million. That's the intermediate goal, and I think it can be even become better after that. So I will hand on to my colleague Stephan Plenz, our CTO, who will do the deep dive in the technology, which is the basis for all the new exciting business models.
Thank you, Rainer. I promise not to do that. Giving 20 minutes to a CTO might be risky for you, but no worries. I will not do the deep dive into technology, but talk about innovation, talk about how technology can drive growth and how technology can change our industry, and more specific, how digitization is changing our industry and how Heidelberg is leading that into hopefully a bright future of that. Coming back to that slide from Rainer where he said 200 million, well, this is only the digital portion of it. For sure, innovation has to drive the whole group forward and has to move our customers into a position to make more money and share that money with us. That is for sure, and you will hear more about that today. Let me come back to that slide where you see packaging and commercial as part of the total PPV, which is somewhere above the 410 billion euros on a worldwide basis. And you see that commercial print is basically flat on 164, 165 billion, while packaging is still growing. And therefore, it's quite easy to imagine that combined with digital print, where the growth field will be, it will be in packaging print, and it's packaging and label, in combination with the power of digital. And we from our side are quite convinced that inkjet in an industrial environment will be the driver of that development, will be the driver of that growth. Otherwise, these additional 20 million will not come. And let me come back to one slide you might have seen 2016 during Drupa, where we first time described that ecosystem of the graphic arts industry. How does it look like in a digitized world when Industry 4.0 is fully implemented? What is the world in? And we call it the smart print shop, or how to handle that with Simply Smart. We basically gave our customers a direction, an idea how this future might look like, and how he can benefit from digitization and not being afraid of that. How we can make use of digitization and all the features we are offering there. And there we describe the smart print shop itself. What does it mean when machines are connected, when machines talking to machines, when data is flowing from machine to machine without interaction of people, without touch points, as we say. How we make use of that data with our smart services, with better maintenance plan, with preventive maintenance and things like that. And in the end, and I think this will be the target for this afternoon, and I think I can somehow promise how to, that this will be explained, how this is a part, an integral part of the whole graphic art industry ecosystem. These are the smart collaboration tools, which means working together with our customers, with our suppliers, to get the right services, the right consumables, the right machines in place where it's needed, where the growth is taking place, and where our customers can make benefit from that. And basically the rest of the day we will explain that ecosystem and how these puzzles work together and why they make so much sense being together. An ecosystem like that doesn't make any sense without a holistic approach on the workflow. And here we are talking about the workflow on our customer side. We are not talking about factories. We're not talking about how do we handle data from R&D to production. We are talking about the ERP system of our customers. They're getting orders in, they're getting data from their customers, how to generate print, sellable products out of that, how to hand them back to their customers. And it's not always print. It's also delivering to other web pages, delivering to the end customers of their customers. And without this workflow approach, where you combine the data entry from the customers, creating printable data out of that, either producing plates for offset or sending directly to a digital device, handling the data through the whole production chain, and not carrying in bags and telling the machine, now you have to do this, and here's a CD telling you what to do. It's really automatic, and this device, machine, is talking directly to that machine to improve, make ready for the next job. And this is Industry 4.0 in today's world. It's already running, and this is what I will describe in the next pages. This system we started to develop and implement it in the industry since 1999, and therefore we do have a huge base of installed devices, of installed machines, and can make use of this data. What is Prenect? That's how we call the workflow from connected print. What is Prenect doing to our customers? In practical terms, it's their ERP system. It's how they handle their data through their whole print shop. But it's doing even more. It's taking away touch points. And when we say touch points, it means people are still in the process. They have to do something to start the next activity. So from estimating to job creation and creating the plates and carrying the plates to the print shop, these are all touch points. And with Prenect, with fully implemented, you can go down from 15 to 4 touch points in a digitized world. And we do have real cases from that in our customer base already. And that means less people doing this work, so less cost, and less chances for faults in the process. People can't do it wrong if the process is well established and organized. So this is the big advantage of Prenect. And on top of that, Prenect is connecting these machines with a whole system around the globe. And we have now more than 10,000 machines connected with Prenect. So we have the benchmark data of these machines. And using these machines for the next development steps to offer to our customers, for our customers to present them benchmarks, how to improve and where to improve and what to do, is a huge, powerful thing. And I think we're all aware that data is the oil of the actual century. And by using this data in a professional way, we can generate huge benefits for our customers and for ourselves. Well, this is a quite nice chart showing our customers around the world. And what we just see here, this is just one way of showing it, is a net impression per year. So what is a customer printing by the OEE? And you can see a huge cloud. And when you identify your personal print shop, you can somehow imagine what to do to improve, to be better. And the whole system is focused on finally getting the winners of the industry together, combining them in one ecosystem, and serving their customers even more professional and more successful than before. How do we do that? Well, the first piece you have to have is transparency. Without transparency, steering is impossible, and without steering, improvement is impossible. So what we have created is the Heidelberg Assistant. And with the Heidelberg Assistant, we hand over to our customer a tool showing this data. So showing his own print shop, showing his shopping list, what is needed on coatings, on primers, on plates for the next week based on the actual data of his orders. So it's no longer a backwards-oriented and calculated tool to order the next batch of plates. It's based on the incoming orders, immediately ordering the next batch of plates, coatings, or whatsoever. For sure, the support from Heidelberg, the services, and Holis administration is in there. So this tool is kind of the window for our customers into that whole ecosystem. And on the other side of that window, Heidelberg is sitting and looking into the same tools, into the same data, and therefore creating with our customers a by far better working system to support them with the right technology, with the right substrates, with the right services. So everything is basically based on real data we all have on a transparent tool. And now looking into the technology, because today we want to basically show you two fields where digitization has a huge impact. One is offset printing and one is digital printing. And when you look into offset, it's kind of stable for the next 5 years in that prediction. So stable in the output means based on higher productivity, you have to be on the side of the winners of that industry, otherwise you're using turnover and you have to generate an additional benefit for the customers. How do we do that? This is the family of our products. It's all modular. They all consist of platforms, so they have the same feeders, same units, same deliveries, same console, same steering cabinet. What we did over the last 10 years is basically the complete standardization of the modules. So every improvement is moving to the whole set of platforms. And on top of that, the most important piece, the automation in all these machines is connected with the user interface. So the user, and I wouldn't call them a printer anymore, I would call them industrialized users. They do have the full transparency of the things that are going on in the machine, the things he had to prepare for the next step the machine will do. And everything can run smoothly without stopping the machine. And now I have to come to the most difficult part of my presentation, which I love. I'd like to explain you the difference between the old concept and the new one, which is a paradigm shift. And which is a paradigm shift from our point of view, our customers love to use. Because in the end, that's creating the field for digitization in the industry. When we started the development in 2012, I told my R&D team, I want to have a machine with only one button. And you press it, and then everything runs. That is the dream. And then we started to work on that. And then we saw the power of digitization, and we saw the power of data flowing through. And we said, hey, it can't be that the printer is deciding when the machine has to start. We have to come to a world where push to stop is basically generating the complete flow. That means data is coming to the machine will run and start automatically with the next job if the user is not pushing a button and telling something is wrong here. So he's more on the supervisory side. He's no longer the pacemaker of the whole procedure. He is the one controlling it, and as long as he hasn't to push a button, the machine will not stop. The machine will print on a continuous basis as planned. So in the end, that means autonomous printing. The machine is printing automatically all jobs of a day without stopping, and the user has to prepare always the next stop. How do we do that? We have it on the screen. He sees the next jobs. He can prepare everything. Everything is set green, and then the next job starts automatically. And this is, well, somewhere comparable to what we have in our cars today. It's no longer a map you're looking in and then you decide how to drive. It's the navigation system telling you, now take the next one right and then left. And then in the end, and we have that already live, you can see that in print shop, the system is driving on its own because it knows where to go. And if you don't tell the system, no, don't go right, go straight, it will go right. This is push to stop in another world, and this is what we have today, what our customers are using in more than 400 installations already around the world. So what you see here is a system automatically running, moving to the next job, showing when the good sheet is there, continuously running with the next job, and this is autonomous printing, and this is generating a huge benefit to our customers, as you can easily follow, I think. Here's one of our big customers from the packaging side, customer from Holland, producing, I think he's the only producer of these beautiful kiwi bags you have somewhere in the supermarket and things like that. With basically the same technology in the machine, he's producing 20% more by using that philosophy. And this is innovation in real life. And when you add the power of new automation of the machine to that, automatically driven, you can somehow imagine how big that step is and what digitization or the big avalanche of digitization for our industry means. It means higher productivity for the customers using that and using that together with Heidelberg. And here's a commercial printer, and what you can see here is an average XL106 today in the world out there is somewhere at 40 million. He's printing 90 million a year. And on the other technology platform, a CX102, he's printing 70 million. The average out in the industry is somewhere at 35 million. So by using that concept, our customers are able in packaging and in commercial to get higher output, less faults in the process, and being prepared for the future. On a second big field where this integration and this using data makes a lot of sense, that's the digital print. And as already said, we are focusing on industrialized digital print. So it's not the small printers, it's not the office printers, it's how we can make use of the power of digital print for even shorter runs, for special applications in our industry. And I'm very happy that Pedro will give you an insight on our portfolio there, on the technology and how we use that. I don't fight for Puigdemont today, but fight for digital print.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Stephan. Good morning, everybody. Are we still here? Yes? Good. So, I am one of the most privileged people in the world, right? You know why? Because I've been given the opportunity to drive one of the most exciting strategic initiatives that is going on right now in the industry. When Heidelberg goes into something, it is till the end. Someone before was asking me, you come from somewhere else. What's the difference between Heidelberg and others? It's the sense for excellence. It's that sense for excellence that makes everything different. And today, I'm going to tell you that if imagine that excellence meet speed. And then let's see what happens, okay? So, we said before, you saw that slide before, actually, digital is right for Heidelberg in the strategic sense that we saw before from Herr Hundsdörfer. What did he say? He said, we need to invest in the fastest growing market segments and not in any way. We need to invest in a way in which we have recurrent relationship with our customers and recurrent revenue streams that also bring recurrent profit to the company. Digital is all about recurrent relationships and recurrent revenue streams. Why? Because the manufacturer totally shares the growth of the customer. If the customer doesn't print, the manufacturer doesn't win. It's like getting married. How many of you are married? I'm not going to ask how many of you are divorced. But anyway, so for those of you who are married, it's like being married, right? That person is successful, you are successful, and it's in our interest for those guys to keep on printing. And if on top of printing, they keep on growing, like we get from all the analysts, like some of you here, some of you in other places, that's a win-win for the industry and for Heidelberg. Now, today, you sit in many of these sessions, right? And you always get exposed to the future and the big next thing and what comes, and you need imagination. I would love today not to talk about the future anymore, but about the reality that Heidelberg is already driving today. It's a first step into the future, yes, but it is reality and not slides anymore. And to that, I wanted to tell you about PrimeFire, this first equipment piece here. This is for a CTO, that's a dream. For the lady managing that business, that's dream twice. It's really an amazing piece of technology that makes people make money. And that's the beauty of that. Because we've brought digital into an industrial space where it's not more a boutique, exotic thing in the shop, but it's part of the core part of our customers making and building a business out of that. So let me tell you why I think it's going to work. That's my life, right? That is what I have been witnessing for the last 20 years. I started my career in graphic arts here, more or less, right? It's when I didn't need makeup to survive the day. So those days, the first visionaries who adopted digital were the architects. They were the first ones. And then slightly the signage people who needed to actually make a bold statement and started being the first ones exposed to one sociological thing that is going on in our society is that we are, as a society, becoming more impatient and a bit more greedy. We love to buy stuff, and more every day, and different things every day. After that, in commercial, in 2004, and by the way, you can assign those years to the Drupa years, because it still marks the rhythm of our industry, right? In 2004, commercial segment started seriously adopting digital for their production and for their business. It was not anymore an exotic boutique thing, but it was already part of the way they were doing their business. In 2008, the professional photography started changing from silver highlight to digital. And then a bit later, in 2012, labels started adopting digital. So it looks like in cycles of 4 years, the industry decides a different segment is going to adopt digital. It's just by chance, or there are arguments behind what is the next segment. Can we foresee who is the next segment? I think we can. And I also can think that based on the experience, we can even foresee the speed of adoption. I'll go back to that in a second. So, in order for a segment to adopt digital, two things need to happen at the same time. Thing number one, there needs to be demand in the market for digital products. I'll go into that in a second. And the thing number two is that the technology needs to be mature enough to fulfill that demand. And both things need to happen at the same time. And you can actually look at each of these segments and realize what happens. Let's have a look at the demand. Why do I say that the next segment is now going to be folding carton and flexible packaging? And then the ones afterwards will be towards decoration, furniture, and textiles, like textiles, mass textiles, not like today, right? So let's look at the demand. Who is driving the demand of packaging? Who do you think it is? The brands. The brands. This guy, the brand of Röhnsprudel, is the one that is most interested in creating demand for his products or her products, right? And if you look at what the brands want, these are fancy names for three things. What do brands want? The ones who drive demand, what do they want? They want to sell more. They want to sell cheaper in their cost structure. And they want to be selling so that they can fight all the piracy and counterfeiting, yeah? So they want to sell more effectively, and with additional security features. In order to sell more, what are they doing? They are introducing products every single day of our lives. Do you know that 75% of all products introduced this year you will not find in the shelves of the supermarkets in 3 months? The turnaround of those new products is just, it's like at light speed. Every 3 months, there is a full worldwide renew of the products in our supermarkets. That means a lot of prototyping, a lot of shapes changing, a lot of investigation in what sells and what doesn't sell, and a lot of new products and new packaging being produced. That is having a tremendous impact in the length of the jobs we are printing at the moment. We are finding even jobs that are less than 50 boxes, right? Because they just want to test one supermarket in one city with one color, and the supermarket besides with 50 on another color, and then one besides on another color. And after 1 week, they decide which color works best, and then they run the full batch on that color. So there is a lot of testing going on out there that definitely drives digital demand, because digital means always two things. Things that are short runs, things that are differently printed and as in big batches, or things that are exclusively and personal for each of us, right? Like every box is different. So only because of the sales effectiveness, all these brands are triggering that our customers, the customers of Heidelberg, are facing demand for digital. On top of that, they want to sell cheaper in their sales structure. And for that, the big hassle are the stocks. How can you manage stocks with so many SKUs in the world that are renewing every 3 months? It's just almost impossible. The wet dream of a brand is being able to produce on demand. And if they could produce on demand for you, and for you, and for you differently, it would be even better. But that is really, really a dream. Not even the biggest SAP systems can actually manage that complexity anymore. But digital print can help reduce the stocks and make print on demand more likely, okay? And actually is happening right now. So on that category, also the brands are pushing more and more our customers to go into short runs and runs of one, right? Finally, additional security. In specific places like luxury products or pharma products, or products that have a special sensitive IP or a sensitive brand behind, the counterfeiting, especially from Asian and South American countries, is outrageous. I think there were only in the US, only in pharma, $5 billion losses every year based on counterfeiting coming from other countries. If you would be able to make every box uniquely identifiable, traceable, trackable through the entire supply chain, that would significantly reduce the piracy of those products and the illegal copies of those products. And guess what? Digital printing allows that, because allows to be every box differently, allows to introduce extra security features like additional codes that are different in every box, security, even stochastic invisible patterns in the box that are not perceivable by the eyes, but are perceivable by inline inspection systems. This is the level of sophistication that is going into this additional security. And guess what? Digital printing is in the best position to make that happening at a profitable price for our customers and for ourselves. So, have we established that the demand is there? What do you think? Have we established that demand is there? Is there enough demand? Do brands seem to be willing to go for that? If we establish that, the second part is having a solid technology, right? So, as I said before, the PrimeFire is like that dream of a CTO and the dream of a digital business manager, because it actually brings the technology to an industrial scale that can fulfill the demand brands are asking. I remember Drupa 2016. That was the first week I actually joined Heidelberg. And I was flipping out that the ones driving traffic to PrimeFire were Ferrero, Procter & Gamble, Unilever. All the brands were dragging their print service providers to see the big new thing that will allow them to actually fulfill what their supply manager, production managers, product managers, and sales managers are asking them to do, right? So is that really solid? Is that really industrial? This product is already available. Is it actually having a good acceptance in the market? You have to wait till the end of my presentation. What's this machine all about? It's actually an inkjet machine. Not only if you read the analyst reports on technology, you will realize that inkjet is the fastest growing thing. There are many aspects for that. Is the promise in the cost structure? Is the easier management of the technology itself? Is the fact that many people are working on that, and therefore the leap jumps on technology advancements will be faster than in any other technology. And also because other technologies like toner or electroliquid inks have been already showing the limits to their potentials, whereas inkjet is showing only the potential of the potential, right? So for many reasons, inkjet is the bet to take, and I'm really happy that that is the decision from Heidelberg. So it is an inkjet machine, and it uses the simplest technology possible. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution. If you have established that you can print directly on the paper, why would you bother putting things in the middle? Putting bells or blankets or pips or bibs, or if you can establish that your level of quality is outstanding by printing directly on the paper, do so. And that's what this machine does. It prints directly on the paper, so there is no need for additional elements that might cause errors in registration, quality, or additional service costs. It has a 7-color process, which is a must for packaging. You know, Coca-Cola is not going to live without their red, and in order to get that red, you need 7-color process, not 4. It's specially aimed at food packaging. Food packaging is, in total volumes, the biggest portion of the packaging volume in the industry. And this machine is not for everybody in food packaging. The ones that are running huge runs, it's not for them. But the ones that are going into the print on demand, mass customization, prototyping, proliferation of products, then this machine is for them, because they can be assured, thanks to the Swiss ordinance, the ink is safe for food. So enough about the product. Let's us now focus on the customers that are behind. We have received an outrageous response in the market. We have signed off many, many letters of intent that slowly are transforming into real orders that we are manufacturing and shipping already this year. Well, actually already since last year. And the majority of the customers we find are in folding carton converters, general folding carton converters who are not specialized in any particular product range. Some applications are general electronics, cosmetics, a lot of food and conditory, and also pharma converters. Although the pharma market in some cases is B2 size based, the B1 size offers them an additional productivity angle that they can actually exploit. And therefore, at the moment, 20% of all our interested customers who have reserved a unit and made a prepayment are coming from pharma converters, okay? There are two small other segments where we are seeing interest so far. Posters, calendars, and card producers. There are some of the units reserved that are going into that direction. And then some publishing houses who are specialized in these specialty, very, very short runs, especially scientific and table books for the covers, right? In here we see interest, although so far we have got no unit reserved for such a market. And I would like to talk very briefly now about my assessment of the market opportunity. Is there a market? How big is the market? Everybody can have a PrimeFire now? Well, it's about a €3 million thing, so it's not for everybody. Yeah? I'm not going to put one in my dining room. It's for whom is that then? If that is the folding carton market, a very simplistic analysis of the market into how much is the volume of the jobs that are printed and how much is the finishing complexity, we could say we have all these big segments of the folding carton distributed in this way. So the first thing that comes to mind is every application that is in large or fast or the upper part of medium and only do this for a living today and decide not to do anything else today, they don't need a PrimeFire. They just need to establish a smart print shop with a proper workflow that automates and increases the automation level of the XL106s or any other Heidelberg machine that they might have in the shop. That's what they need. They need to increase their efficiency in the way they use their Heidelberg offset machines today. In my view, the ones that are here in the very top part with the very thick wine applications or the very fancy gold-driven cosmetics applications are going also to have to increase their efficiencies in the way they finish the jobs. So PrimeFire will help, but will not be the make it or break it in their industry. PrimeFire is for these 35% of the companies that are sitting here in small to half medium short runs in applications with low finishing to mid-high finishing complexities. That is about 500 to 600 units opportunity. In the very same moment that PrimeFire will make it to mid-range price points, that would explode to even more than 35%, okay? And the strategic roadmap of Heidelberg is actually in that direction, is in completing, making the PrimeFire fit as much as it can in the high range, high industrial price range, and look into ways of expanding the target addressable market after every productization of the portfolio, okay? So Again, someone asked me before, what's the big difference from your previous experience and now? And I said, well, the sense of excellence of Heidelberg, right? In other companies, the #1 priority is speed, is bringing those units out. Why? Because in the very same moment you put a unit out and that unit starts printing, you're closer and closer to what we call the sweet spot. The sweet spot is the day we do the big party. When's that day? That day is when the supplies and service revenue overpasses the equipment revenue, because that day the whole thing goes on its own, right? For customers and for Heidelberg. So for some companies, the most important thing is just place the unit, no matter what. For Heidelberg, it's a compromise, and it's a wise compromise in my view. It's place those units, but they have to be excellent, because it's our name what's on the stake, right? It's the Heidelberg Excellent brand. Imagine that someone that stands for excellence all of a sudden makes that things in 21st century speed. That is Herr Plenz, December 2015, showing the one color print. It looked horrible because I've seen it. That was in my interview. That's what he showed me to impress me. Oh my God, that was a low moment in the interview. It looked bad. It was one color, it was blue, well, cyan, and he was so proud of it. I said, come on, man, you're proud of that? That was December. In May, in Drupa, we were printing 7-color non-stop, 10 hours a day. It was awesome. And the quality was incredible. And the brands were dragging the PSPs to the show to see the big thing. Not only happy with, because, you know, show units are show units. You know, it's a show, so it's also a show unit. It's not a unit you could just put it in a customer. You have to work on it a bit longer. But how longer? It's 1 year. In 1 year, this machine was installed at a customer site, the first beta that we installed in Germany, right? And half a year later, we installed the second beta unit. And 1 month later, the third unit. And we are shipping this month to the third beta, which is going to pharma, also in Europe. And we have right now, and that is the end of the prime fire section, we have right now more than 20 units reserved all throughout the world, with the big peaks in the US and China and Germany. Okay? These are the 3 focus of interest, where the biggest interests are, which, guess what, is where the big brands are printing and producing nowadays. So behind all those customers, we have brands like Procter & Gamble, Ferrero, Sony, Apple. We have like Unilever. We have Stella Lauder. So we have a lot of brands qualifying right now our solution in some of the existing places, but also being part of the sales cycle of all those units. Yeah? Very good. But that's only one part, right? Remember, in commercial right now, according to Drupa statistics, 1 year ago, 86% of all commercial houses already have some sort of digital equipment that they base their business on. It's not just a decoration piece. In labels, 1 year ago, Drupa stated 46% of label converters had some sort of digital equipment. 1 year after, it's almost 60%. So it's a bit more than 60%. It's 2 out of 3 of all label converters have a digital machine of some sort, right? So label right now is the fastest growing, not the fastest projected growing, but the fastest growing in digital adoption. Why? Because of the same thing. Demand is there and a solid technology is there, right? The solid technology has been there for a while. It wasn't coming from Heidelberg. And now, since 1.5 years ago, Heidelberg has a very good solution for that segment, okay? Again, based on inkjet. Why? Because inkjet, not only from the fluid itself, but from the entire system, the print bars, the print heads, the service parts, the technology behind the, and by the way, not any inkjet, is inkjet with emphasis in piezo inkjet, which is for industrial applications, is the one more suited. Okay, it really, the most reliable and suited one for industrial applications. That is what Label Fire is also based on. The machine has been having a great acceptance among the markets. We have, right now, we have an install base of 18 units in the world, also similarly spread, but with addition of Australia, which is also in one of the countries where we have installed in Label Fire, and more countries in Europe than just Germany. We have units in Spain, we have units in Italy, we have units in Austria, we have units, you know, everywhere in Western Europe and Eastern Europe at the moment. And what attracts our customers and the brands behind our customers about that product are two things. According to them, and that's a quote, this is the best inkjet quality they have seen in labels, and also the costs, because at the end of the day, remember, if our customers do not make money with it, they will not print with it, we will not make money with it. So it's a merit, right? It's all about participating in the recurrent business of the customers. And as you can see here, the Label Fire, in all cases, even in the high coverage cases where click models are in the market most profitable for the customers, even in the high coverage models, Label Fire is showing best quality at equal or lower TCO, total cost of ownership. Okay? And that is the reality I wanted to show you. This is a building, a huge building in Heidelberg. It's called Building 11. And so on that side of the building, you have the production line of Label Fire. These are all the Label Fires that are being built as we speak for customers and shipments this year. We expect to almost double our install base only this year. And then on the other side of the corridor, you see the same, but with the prime fires. And you see all 4 slots of prime fires being built every quarter so that we can fulfill all the demand that we have so far. So I hope you got in that, hopefully only 20 minutes, yeah, a snapshot on not only why the strategy is really being implemented now, but also a snapshot on the reality and why now Heidelberg is going to make it in the digital printing arena and being perceived and accepted as a technology and business provider in digital printing. Thank you very much.
Montserrat, thank you very much. Now we have the time for the first Q&A session. If you have some questions regarding Smart Print Shop strategy and our digital packaging business, I would kindly ask Montserrat to again join me here on the stage, as well as Mr. Hundsdörfer and Mr. Plenz. And please give me a sign if you have a question. First question, please also state your name, the company, just for the recording. Thank you.
Yes, it's Andre Finke from HSBC. 2 questions from my side. You provided us with examples on productivity gains for your customers, 20% for your Dutch customer, I think, and 50% higher effectivity for the one in the Czech Republic. To which extent is this reflected in higher prices for your products? So does it mean that the equipment you sell to the Dutch customer is 20% more expensive than his former equipment? So my question is basically how to monetize on your technological excellence. And the second question is on the Prime Fire. I think you indicated that we might have a total addressable market of 1.6 to 1.7 billion, if that's 3 million euro ASP on 550 machines. So what is your market share target for that market? And can you put it into context to the 200 million euro revenue increase you see by 2022 from the digital portfolio? Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I start with the first question. The calculation is not 20% here, it's 20% there. I think we all know that a little bit. For sure, we have a price premium in the market. And when you look at the XL106, which was stated here, the price premium in the market is quite high. And this productivity improvement we are selling there is selling more than just the machine. It's selling the service concept, the consumables, and in the end, maybe also a subscription model with it. So customers are buying that in combination with the Heidelberg support. And for sure, we're getting higher prices in the market for these machines.
Okay, and on PrimeFire, to 2022, we expect to gain between 25 and 30% of the market share. And very important, again, the sweet spot, right? For me to monitor where the sweet spot, where redundancy, the redundant revenues overpass the equipment, that's supposed to be in 2021. That is within the 3 first years of the platform. That is the most healthy digital business you can imagine. As long as it happens before the 5 first years, you're good. Our projection with the demand that we see now is at 2021. In total, well, that to your question is 25 to 30% market share. And it is a substantial part of what the 200 million euros additional revenues are. Yeah? It's more than half of it, basically.
Hi, Chris Garston at Waverton. Could you say a few words about the Omnifier 1000? You've been quite quiet about that.
Yes, I can. So, the Omnifier 1000. This is one, you've been around long enough, right? You've seen technologies that never made it because not the technology was good, but there was no way to reach the market, right? Again, demand, solid technology. But what if you don't find the demand? Demand isn't there, or you can't reach it. That's the same problem, right? The Omnifier 1000 was running the risk that Heidelberg was not being able to reach that demand because that demand lies way outside our install base. It's actually not a product that I could see in the very same places where I see a PrimeFire. I would see that in industrial places, building cars, like the smart car, the mini cars, in the same places where we see industrial production of even sportswear, right? Sports material, shoes, all these places where Heidelberg is not even known as a brand and we don't have a sales force. So we definitely believe deeply in the Omnifier 1000. We have, this year is a very important year for us because there is one very important feature which is called 3D stitching. That's a technicality, okay? But this feature that is coming in summer is going to allow us to go into all those industrial places where it has the fit. And we have found a way to make it to those places. It doesn't matter if Heidelberg is or is not known there. We have found a way. So I can foresee a good year where we already start in those places, beta testing those new key features that are coming in summer. It is. So really, it needs some guts from this guy and this guy. These two guys decided to bet on it, and they bet on it, and this year we'll see the results.
To be quite honest, the risk is we had the technology from Inkjet. We had the technology to run that and to measure the devices. So we designed the product and we tested the market. And now we found 2 ways to sell it. One is the very simple way of producing on soccer balls, helmets, and pieces like that. And the other one is, Montserrat just described, more the industrial way of using it. So it's an additional benefit if it comes. It's a kind of startup. It's a kind of new technology. You have to test the water, otherwise you will never get the feedback. But it's nothing in comparison to the other projects we are running when it comes to our investment.
Yes.
It's basically coming out of the investment we had to do for the industrialization of PrimeFire and LabelFire before. And may I add one flavor to the answer on the PrimeFire side? This 35% of the market is what we see today. What we realize is that the brand owners now getting more and more into that cake and saying, oh, we need more of that. It's a little bit the chicken and egg problem. Today there's no industrialized technology to produce packaging personalized. And now they're getting that, and they're using it more and more. They're asking for it. And this is just today's knowledge. But from my point of view, it will grow much faster and will be much bigger in the end. Because these big brand owners, they are looking for everything to do perfect marketing. When you think about the beautiful industry of tobacco, it's basically forbidden to do marketing on their side. They're no longer allowed to do it on TV or in printed papers. Now the cinema is in discussion. Formula One is already out. The last resort of marketing for them is the box they are selling. And 60% of the box is already covered with these beautiful pictures and the texts they have to put on. So it's 40% on the box left. And I tell you, they are talking to me every day and asking, what can we do to make my box be the sellable box in the supermarket? So these industry, they are coming, and I do see even more than these 35%. This market will change in the future.
By the way, how many of you are from Germany? Okay.
Portion.
So these Weihnachten, you will be able to order your Adventskalender printed on Prime Fire, personalized for you. So Merry Christmas.
Andreas Schmidt, SDK. Ramping up production is always an issue with new technology. How you get along with that? How is waste and things like that, repair of finished machines and otherwise. The second question is, so far Heidelberg is known for that the machines run 30 years, never break down things. Is it a different model with digitalization, high output, smaller machines? Can you guarantee, you have no experience, can you guarantee a kind of 5-year lifetime, 10-year lifetime?
Well, number one, we know each other for a while. You know I'm coming from production, and this is not my first ramp up. So you have no issues until today. So I'm very confident that we will manage label fire, prime fire on that level, and these numbers quite stable. We're doing that in Hall 11, and that has a good reason, because this is the hall for relatively low numbers, but we have the perfection around how to do that, and the quality control system is working fine. So I don't see major risk there. I think we are pretty much there. And the second one is exactly what Montserrat described in her presentation. We're talking about industrialized digital print. And if you talk to packaging houses, and you might ask Mr. Weig later, there's no way of a technical availability of a device of 30-35%. This might be possible in commercial where you can print or not, and if not, you go for another machine. In packaging, this device has to work, finish. And this is why we have put in this technology on a platform of XL106 on the one side and the label master on the other side, to create that robustness on the paper transport, and having the whole steering knowledge and how to steer the heads in our own workflow as well. So we are buying heads, we are buying ink, but we do the rest on our own. And this is giving the whole system the stability and robustness it needs for industrialization. Will the heads survive forever? To be quite honest, the more you print, the better for the heads. What they don't like is print on, print off. So in the industrial world, they will last much longer. And we do have for sure a contract where that's included, including our supplier. So we are quite sure that we can make use of this device, maybe in different technology, at least for the next 10 years.
I have two questions on the Heidelberg Cloud business. So first, you said you have 10,000 machines that are connected. So how many % is that from the whole installed base? And second, where do you host the data, and which kind of software do you use? Is it more on the Amazon side or more on the software AG side, or perhaps you can explain a little bit more?
Well, you will hear more about that in solution this afternoon from Dr. Ulrich Herrmann. First of all, when you take the last, I would say, 10 years of shipment, I would say all the big machines are connected. Before that, it might be 10% of that, not more than that. The smaller devices, like a Speedmaster 52 here and there, you don't have that, but these are not the customers growing with this data, so we don't see that. When I take the relevant amount of big sheet fed presses, I would say it's kind of 80% of the industrialized used machines. But this is kind of a gut feeling. Can be 70, but it's in that level, definitely. And when you look into the last 3, 4, 5 years of production is basically all machines, because otherwise we don't do our service contracts. We need that data to do proper service anyhow, and as we sell a lot of service contracts, this is part of that. Data is hosted here in Germany. It's a cloud here. It's based on a Microsoft system, so it's a safe, I would say, European system.
Hauke Nafreus, Alexander Halitze. I have a question for Montserrat, please. You spoke very optimistically or positively on the demand you're seeing for PrimeFire.
Yes.
And then you also mentioned that there is a lot of testing going on by brands. They're trying to figure out what color works best, what's not. And then they go for final big batches. So don't you think that those big batches will then, so the PrimeFire will be rather used for figuring out the color, and then the big batches will be still printed on the sheet fed offset machines, purely given the higher, lower costs?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe how big do you see digital is getting in the packaging market overall over the next, let's say, 5 years?
Okay, so to the first question, different customers are planning to use PrimeFire differently. One of them, one kind of those customers are exactly in the direction that you were pointing. This is the case of one of our betas, right? They are convinced PrimeFire is going to free up capacity in offset by being used to prototype. Really, they want to free up offset. They have so much long runs and so much efficiency that they think they can do still with the XL106, that they have several of them, that they think PrimeFire is going to free up offset capacity by moving prototyping, product development, and color management to digital, okay? Because it can be done fast, it can be done in a comparable way to offset. So that's one way we've seen. Another way we've seen people using that they want to use is among the first customers are guys that want to establish the same principle that we saw in commercial years ago, the Web 2 print. Now bring that concept to packaging, Web 2 pack, right? Imagine you are Ferrero. You don't touch your customers. Your customers are very far away. You have a wholesaler and a reseller and a distributor and da. You are Ferrero. You want to touch that guy. You want your packaging to have interactive elements so that you can interact to that guy, offering them special promotions or making them part of a club. You even want to run very selective campaigns per year with individualization, right? And why are you going to be able to order your Advents calendar this Weihnachten with PrimeFire? Because one brand of chocolate has decided to create a web-to-pack engine for consumers, final consumers, to be able to order personalized packaging. This web-to-pack not only goes to consumers, it can also be B2B, B2B2C, and B2C. It's really the whole thing. And right now, the big developments are happening on that side. So that's a second portion of what customers are going to use PrimeFire for. The third is actually pure short runs. Any short runs then based on an economical study that we run with every one of those accounts on their own job basket, they can identify their own break-even point. There is not a universal break-even point. There is, and it's, for runs above 1,000 or even above 800. If you are effective enough with your offset, you need to increase the efficiency in your offset and you will bring your break-even down. But there will be a number below which you will be more productive and more profitable as a customer if you use PrimeFire. And these are the three ones: short runs, individualization and web-to-pack, and then prototyping and color management testing. So far.
May I add one example to bit maybe drive your innovation or your inspiration in that direction? We have a customer producing hair coloration. We are all using that, well, except the gray-haired here in the front.
No, we're very young.
All others are using that, except you, maybe. Hair coloration is a standard, millions of boxes. Now you have thousands of colors, which somehow drives you nuts already. And today they have 4, 5, 6 languages on one box, which is taking away space for marketing for them. And they want to run one English version, one German version, one French version in big numbers. And they want to run one for Ukraine, Albania, Greece, you name it, in short runs. And that's why the PrimeFire, with the same format as the XL106, is perfect for their production. They run the big runs on the 106. They run the very short runs on the PrimeFire. They go through the same finishing, and then they distribute all over Europe or all over the world. This is very big in Europe, very big thing. And if only a fragment of these products would go into that production mood, we have loaded our factory for years on that. So there are so many ideas how these brand owners make use of the digital power in the future, which are not calculated today, which will not take mass volume from sheet fed, but which will create new versions of boxes, new versions of the market. We do see that in label already, so it's not difficult to think about that. These brand owners, they know about that already because they're doing it on the labels, and they are searching for solutions on packaging, and this is now available.
Yeah, Stephan here from LBBW. One question on digital printing. You put a lot of efforts on digital packaging printing, but what about one of your core markets, commercial printing? Currently, it's only addressed, as I know, by the Ricoh Corporation. Is this enough in your perspective for the future, or is there any plans to enter this market again with your own developed device? And the second question is on slide, I believe it was 5, you described declining number of printing units, offset printing units in the future. How will you maybe tackle this issue? Because this will put pressure on your factories in Germany, capacity-wise. So are there any plans to counter that? Thanks.
So, yeah, okay. It's all a matter of time. It's all a matter of priority. For digital print, our priority for number 1 is to address the fastest growing, most profitable market segments that we have right now. So yes, there is a roadmap, and yes, we are going to increase our role as a digital printing provider in commercial. It's only that as the first productization, as the first instance of our strategy, we wanted to focus again in the fastest growing, biggest margin pool, and that is folding carton at the moment. Yeah? So it's only a matter of time.
And the number of units is going down, but the units are getting bigger and bigger and better equipped. We do have more in per unit, because otherwise you would not get the productivity out of it. The automation is in. The price per unit is going up dramatically. When you compare an XL106, it has basically double of the price as a CD102 10 years ago. So this is a huge development in that direction, because the higher the output is, and I think a colleague over there raised the question, the higher the market price for these devices are, because the ROI makes sense for our customers. On top of that, in production, for sure, we did a lot of changes in there, and now we are ramping up all the digital products in the same environment. They are sitting on the same platform, so you might not see the sheet-fed units, but you might see them on the PrimeFire side, which are same feeder, same delivery, same units. So this is kind of the total production story behind. Now you have to give them a coffee.
Any further questions? We will later on have another opportunity to... okay, another one.
Just maybe to follow up on your answer to my question. I guess what I'm struggling with a little bit, there is certainly demand for the PrimeFire, but I guess what I'm struggling with is how confident are you that you would be able, there is enough demand for you to serve the market on a sustainable basis, as you have laid out 35 to 50 machines per year on a long term, let's say?
Well, I'm more than confident. I mean, looking into that market, the delivery of machines to that market just started. I mean, there are some of the competition in Israel out in the field. There's nobody else right now Most of other products have stopped due to technology reasons, not because they just didn't reach the market requirements. So we are very early adopters in that segment, and that the segment is growing and the demand is high. I mean, this is more than clear to me. This is one of the, I would say, lowest risks we do have is to load our factory and to ramp up our plan. Right now, I'm always faced with her telling me, hey, I need more units, I need them earlier, not the other way around. So for the next 5 years, I'm not worried about that. And on top of that, for sure, in our innovation process, we are already planning and looking into what can we do with that technology to do the next step and what can be reached. I mean, the field is widely open. And when you look back into sheet fed offset, when it came up in the 70s, everybody said, what will you do in the 80s and 90s? And we are still growing and we still have new ideas on these devices. So technology will not stop where it is today. And I do see a wide field of applications where we are not in yet. When you heard Montserrat saying about embellishment, talking about special gold, special silver, cold foil on it, and things like that. Nothing of that is available right now. No competitor is basically working on that because they have not even the basis for it. And I do see a wide field there for the next years to come. Inkjet will be the digital technology of the industrialized print, I'm pretty sure.
And this technology is just at the beginning. Just imagine the machines are 2, 3, 4 times as productive. The costs will go down significantly, and we have a completely different pictures 5 years, 10 years from now.
Thank you very much. We will now have a short break. We will return and continue the next session in 15 minutes.
Good.